regardless of whether it's a grave festival respecting the spirits of the dead or a saccharine, treats-loaded ensemble party. Halloween is the point at which we look past the ordinary and into the bizarre. Investigate the occasion, and you will locate some peculiar things. 1. The religious origins of costumes. While the present ensembles channel an inward dream, they began with the significantly more grave reason. Probably the most punctual model we have of individuals wearing ensembles originates from Hallowmass, a formal mass committed to petitions for the dead. Individuals engaged their predecessors for everything from cheerful union with fruitfulness, and outfits were a piece of that. It wasn't until the Victorian time that sprucing up truly went standard, and a great deal of that began with the Robert Burns sonnet Halloween. Originally, the best ensembles were the ones that were frightening, which isn't altogether amazing. The Victorians were fixated on the possibility of otherworldliness and the hereafter, so spearheading the apparition outfit seemed well and good. Second, when Halloween became sexy. Halloween must be scary, so when did we shoot about the looks of the charming nuns and hot cops? Dressing allows people to push the boundaries. Until the 1970s, there was nothing for all sorts of intentions and goals, and it all started with the assembling of the mystical societies of the gay network, women's liberation and women's empowerment, and the newly discovered Halloween walk from this opportunity. Halloween is a day when you can get rid of things that are not so valuable on another day, and we never think back. Third, Halloween and poison candy. We've already talked about how poisoned Halloween candy being handed out to unsuspecting kids is nearly a complete myth, but Halloween of 1950 did see countless kids get sick. After that fateful October night, scores of children started experiencing gastrointestinal issues, welts, and rashes. So many got sick that it was brought to the attention of the FDA, who finally traced the problem to orange dye number 1. Even though it had already been approved by the government in 1906, more research found that the orange dye and 6 other types of food dye used products resulting from the processing of colon contained the toxic chemical benzene. It wasn't until Halloween that enough children ate enough of the dye and got sick enough that it got the attention of the FDA. Tests confirmed that it was, in fact, the dye that was causing the illness and that it didn't even take much of it to kill rats. The dye was banned, and FDA regulations were amended to include colors additives on the list of food ingredients that needed to be disclosed on labels. Fourth, National Youth Honor Day. Today, the stunt or the stunt part of treatment is usually innocent, however it is not usually the case. In the 1920s, 500 young people in Omaha acquired an identity for one night, hoping it would help stop the devastation. In 1938, Boston donated the least damaged school area. In 1948, a Long Island specialties house was destroyed for as much as $100,000 in current currency, and this was just one episode of the 1940s Halloween uprising across North America. The riots, insults, and, now and again, racially motivated attacks were so terrible that in 1950 the Senate Judiciary Committee began to make a great effort to send Halloween out on National Youth Day. The Halloween sweethearts concluded that paying children for sweets was a better approach, and that stunts or treats became popular. 5. Bobbing for apples. Even if this one is no longer a part of most Halloween parties, its pedigree as a Halloween staple is undeniable. The idea went back to the Celtic Samhain, when it was believed that not only did the dead walk the earth on one night, but divination done on that night would be particularly effective. Since apples were always closely tied to fertility and female power, bobbing for apples became a more modernized version of channeling the wisdom of the dead. In some areas, girls would mark apples before bobbing for them, and whichever apple they got was thought to foretell their romantic future. Apples were also thought to symbolize rebirth and lasting life, flourishing in the fall and reborn again in the spring. An apple peel thrown on the ground by a single girl would show her the first initial of her future husband, it was thought, and magic on Halloween was infinitely more powerful.